You like Trump? Good girl. You like Biden? Come on, man. We cheated. All right. Good evening. It's been a real long one for me, so it's 8:30 in the morning. I've been up since like 9 o'clock yesterday morning. Uh, Hopefully I can get some sleep today. I don't know if I can or not, but anyways, I'm gonna try to do this the best way I can. Uh, Bird white meters or white meters in general with numerous amps. Uh, so you got a drive amp. Let's see if I can get all this in frame. Alright. Okay, so you got radio. It's dusty. Let's see if I can get this all in frame. I doubt it, but I'm gonna try. Alright, you got your radio. You got a 2-pill amplifier. You got a 4-pill. They make, say it's 6-pill, 8-pill, 12-pill, 16-pill, 24-pill, whatever you got. This is a drive amp. You got your radio, got this, got that. Uh, so to keep from power backing up and destroying the radio, or either the power from the amp destroying that amp, or too much drive from this amp going into this amp, or too much drive from the radio going in this amp, that in turn makes too much power for this amp. It's all determined in watt meters. So like I said, bird watt meters or remote watt meters, it's very few that I know out there now that are remote. And with the ease of use that these are. And the reason that they're expensive, but everything's expensive nowadays. Thank Joe Biden for that bullshit. You can like it or not, but that's where it's coming from. But anyways, uh, you need a way to meter in between your systems. Uh, you wouldn't want to leave and go to Florida and only have a half a tank of gas, and your gas gauge didn't work, your oil gauge didn't work, your temperature gauge didn't work. You'd hate to leave on a shitty ass car, probably a Ford. You'd hate to leave on that and didn't think you could get down there. Bald tires, anything. You know, you want to be pretty confident you're going to get there. Well, to be confident in this stuff, say you got a high dollar radio, you done paid money for a good amp, you done paid a lot more money for a bigger amp. You need a way to make sure that one don't kill the other, because it could do it. So then that comes into metering systems. So instead of using this and having a big old jumper, so you come out of the radio into the bird with a jumper, and then come out of here, and you'll have to have a jumper to go in here. And then say you got another bird in between here. So you come out of here with a jumper, go in here, come out of that jumper, go in here, which, let's just put it like that. And then, of course, you got another meter over here on this end of it telling how many watts is actually going out of all these amplifiers. Radio, amplifier, amplifier. So instead of that, you hook them up remote. So Fat Boy sells the metering uh, metering block, line section, whatever the hell you want to call it. He sells this. The cable that comes off of it that feeds to the watt meter. It's actually a piece of coax, but I'm going to call it cable, a wire. The wire going from here, it sends a signal from this line section, from this part of the line section that carries the element. You got to have an element. So this is not all you got to buy. This little part right here, right now, is 50 bucks. 50 damn bucks just for this little thing here. And the little 90 that goes on this, I think it's like 40. But anyways, so you got this. You can hook this up to the back of your amplifier. And then that's all you have to do is run a cable from here to this meter, wherever you put it. You ain't got to have it in a case. You cut a hole, put it in your glove box. I've seen Bob Burns and BBI and Bob's was the first one I've seen it in. You open the glove box in a Suburban or a Cadillac. I think it was a Cadillac SUV, and the meters was, instead of being like this, it was pointed at you where you see them from over the passenger side. Pretty cool, nice setup. All kinds of meters in there. You can have in not just round meters for watt meters. They have a voltmeter. They have the amp meter. All that in there, and it pretty much matches. But anyways, getting back to this, you cut out a piece of coax. So you take a piece of coax, go from there into your line section, and then this line section is hooked up directly to the back of your amp. So that cut out one jumper there. And then you do the same thing. You could put another one here. And check your output from there. Well, check your output from there going to this. And you can actually take this amp and put a connector on it, a male-to-male connector, or they make a male connector on this. You put on this, it'll screw right on that and screw these together. Put two males on it and screw them together. Docking. But that way, the reason they do that is because your watt meter, your element, is directional. So when this element and this meter is here, and you got it turned around towards that radio, you can tell how much reflect is going back towards this radio so you don't kill it. Change jumper links and kind of get that down. Striker radios now, and some radios, like I've had Cobra 29s and the antenna warning light come on, and I changed the length of coax between the radio and the amplifier. They had 3 foot, 6 foot, something like it, and it completely quit. And it was because of the SWR between these mismatched a little bit. But you can have that on there to tell how many watts you're running into your driver. So you turn your slug around and tell how many watts coming out of that radio going into that amplifier. Now anything you plug up on the other side of it, that's only going to read in between. That's how many watts can be coming out of this going into this. So if this line section is here, it can only tell either forward and reverse in between these two amplifiers. So forward, it would be telling, say this amplifier is putting out 300 watts and it's going into this. That would be pretty high, but let's just say 100 watts. You could tell how much key you got coming out of here, going in there, to how much dead key you need from this. From reading how much power is coming through there, and to make sure that this amplifier here, the power that's backing up out of it, ain't backing up into that by turning the slug around. Reading the reflect between this amplifier and this amplifier. Do you understand? You can use dozers and stuff like that. You can hook them up backwards. But then again, you go back to that part. Like I said, this is remote. And you can hook this up here and cut out a jumper. If you take a dozy, say this is a dozy watt meter, you stick it here, you got to come out with a jumper into that, come out of that jumper into that, and then you're going to have this meter. So if you got these in the back of the truck or the back of the SUV or the car or whatever, you got to run all the way up out to the meter with a piece of coax, and then all the way back to the from this amp to here, and then from this amp to here, and the meter's in the front. All right. If you got this line section, which comes out of the bird, or some meters have it, you could have a 6-foot jumper from here to here, here to here, and then that's all you would have to do to get your watts reading on this meter is the cable from here run up to here, and it's no SWR from this cable to there. That don't, this just sends a signal. Sends a signal through there, through the wire, through the coax. It's normally RG 58, but you can run 3/16 up there. You just gotta have that connector to do that, but it can be done. But anyways, so you gonna have a slug, which is your element, to say in between here, in between this radio and that amp, I would have a 5-watt slug. And you say, why a 5-watt slug? Well, this radio right here wouldn't be, if it was mine, it wouldn't do no more than like 5 or 6 anyways. But the only thing I care about is the reflect going back here. I don't really care how much, I can tell between this amp how much I'm driving with this amp, because the variable power on this radio, I'm controlling this amplifier. Because I got variable power in here, I can say how much dead key this amplifier puts out, so I can read it on this meter here. You understand? So I can determine how much dead key this puts out by the variable power on this radio here. So I wouldn't really need to tell how many watts was going this way to this amp, because I could see the results over here, that what was going to key here, and the results on the other end when this one was on. Say it's going to take 20 watts to turn this one on to get 100 watt dead key out of this one, or 200 watt dead key out of this one. With that line section there, I would say put a you can still put a 5-watt slug in there, and make sure that it ain't no more than 5 watts of reflect, which you want it lower than that, coming back, hitting this amplifier. You do it by a ratio of how many watts that you putting out. So you say if you putting out 10,000 watts and you're only getting, let's say, 100 back. 100. If you put out 10,000 watts in, you're only getting out you reflecting 100 back to there, that would be like you putting out 500 watts and you only getting a watt back to here. It's the ratio of it. I don't, you have to do the math on it, but that's kind of how that works. But you want as less watts as you can reflect it back towards this. But every time you hook up a section, you can hook up a meter. So it'll be a section, a slug, and the line and the meter. And then in between here, it'll be the same thing. And then on the other side of this amplifier, you got to check your output power coming from your antenna. You don't want any reflect coming back from your antenna. It can actually back up and get in this amplifier and create oscillations, highest, it's reflect watts back from here. You can actually get that from that antenna. It means it's not flowing out of that antenna. I don't know, it's, once you get started in this thing, you'll start figuring it out as you go. You got to actually, at least for me anyways, I've got to actually physically do it. Before I can start understanding it. But I'm just trying to give you the gist of what you have to do to run this kind of equipment and to, like if I build somebody an amplifier, most time if they want a 4-pill, I usually say, well, what kind of radio are you going to drive? They say, well, Cobra 29. Okay, Cobra 29, don't do a lot of watts, maybe 30 watts or so. Let's say I put a 1x4 in this and eliminate this amp. So you'd eliminate that part, and then you would only have this line section and this line section because your driver's built in this. I've eliminated this box and the cost of that box. So with this driver would be a perfect driver for this if it was a 1x4. If it's a 4-pill, it still drives it decently well. But then, you know, you got to meet in between that. So you're reading reflect coming out of this, going back to this radio. And then this watt meter here, you're reading what's the reflect coming back to this when you turn the slug around. When you turn around that way, you're reading your wattage going out to your antenna, what's that actually going out to the world. It's about the only way I can explain that. And you can also tune with these with this. By running in reflect backwards, you can tell if most time when you're in between this, you need to adjust jumper length, because these are set at a set value mostly when we do them. You can put tuners in this, air variables, vacuum variables, which would be high, vacuum variables in this, and you can tune it like you could an AC box. But then again, you know, you give a person a knob and they just can't leave it alone. Every channel they go to, they've seen 500 watts on channel 20 and they don't see it on channel 6, so they go tune. I set a guy with an amplifier with the output tune and input tune, and with air variables, and you could tune it to match the in between, and every time he changed channels, you'd hear him to get the max output, but you didn't have to do that. I mean, as long as you don't go that far out of the range. Say if you done set it on channel 20 and you want to go to channel 18, or you go to channel 20, it all depends on what antenna you got. If it's got you know, if it's an antenna set up for just 3 or 4 channels, yeah, if you went from channel 6 up to channel 28, The other Super Bowl, you would have to retune it because the antenna's not uh, resident for that, and you can kind of tune to it. But that's a whole nother thing. Uh, I'm just trying to give you a gist of how you can use these meters and why they're needed, and what the actual purpose is of them. Uh, and and having a remote one is cutting out runs, so from the front of the car. Say this is the front of the car, and uh, you gonna run from this. You gonna run from this radio, and you ain't got the line section in there, and this is the meter. You're gonna have to run from the front of the truck to the meter, which, you know, the meter's gonna be with the radio more than likely. But you got to run a long ass jumper all the way back here, and especially on the output side of it, you got to run a long ass jump out of the output over here to this, and then your antenna's got to come out of that, and it might be, the wire might be, the coax might be longer. I'm just saying you got to get to that meter somehow or another. But with the line section, you can cut out one because you can put it to the back of the unit so it don't have a jumper here. Instead of having a jumper from here to here and from here to here, or from output to here and then antenna to there. It just it's remote, and then you pick up your signal from that. But the bad thing about things nowadays, everything's went up. I think at this point, last time I bought one, you could buy the meter from Watts Electronics. You could buy the meter, the line section, and the coax to run this was, I think, 18 foot. And the connector on the end of it was like $150. Now it's like $250. ICA Manufacturing, go there and look. Go all the way down on the page, go to the, you'll actually see this sitting there. This will be on the picture. But I know I'm probably going to get asked this question. I put that bolt on there. I soldered it. Well, I actually, this one's got a hole drilled through it, and I tapped it. I don't know if you can see that or not, but I drilled a hole through there and tapped it for a lever on that, so I could get the slug out when it was hung in it. But yeah. And let's get to this right quick. Like I said, you can go on Watts Electronics, and he sells other stuff. I seen a boy's YouTube channel the other day, and he had a rack mount. It had wood and radios in each little piece of wood. There was the radios going all the way down it. I can't remember his channel, but it was pretty cool the way he had it set up. He had a Hopper built amp down there at the bottom of it, and then down below that he had the power supply in there, and he had a door over it, but he didn't have the power supplies in a cabinet. the way I used to have mine. Mine used to be actually bolted up underneath the table, screwed up there, and then the cables run summed all into one, and then it ran up here. I didn't have it in a case. I do now, but you can get these things like this. I actually got this from Rainmaker. Your line section, I ain't gonna take that apart, but I don't want to unwrap it because I have to end up wrapping it back up because of dust. But this sticks up in there, perfect hole for it, and you put your 2 screws to it. So then you have elements here, and then your meter. You can either put it on the back side of it, which is pretty cool looking, or you can slide it through the hole. Either way, it'll go either way. But yeah, they make these, and I think they actually make them in 2. I was wanting to set my whole table up and put it on a piece of metal like this and have everything set up like I got it set up now, but it was easier to do it in wood because I don't have all that equipment to cut all that stuff. But a simple layout of my table, and then again, all this is in there's no peak kits hooked up to none of this. You would actually have to hook your peak kit up to the back of this and whatever. I'm going to show you the way mine's set up, and then, I mean, that's all for you to determine on how you want to do your stuff. But this is the way mine's set up. I got these 2 radios right here. Both of these radios run through a switch box of us 2 pole. It's got you can switch from A to B, but then again it's got an input. So I got that backwards. I got the 2, it's facing like this, and you got one back this way. So this radio's to one of them, and this radio's to the other one. So I can switch the box, and it don't matter which way that thing's hooked up. It'll shoot the signal either way. So when it comes out of that, over there, and it's got 2 6-foot jumpers. It's got a 6-foot jump on this one, 6-foot jump on this one. Goes into that box, comes out of that box, goes into this amplifier. It's a 2-pin amplifier here. Comes out of that amplifier, goes to this line section here, which has got a 5-watt slug in reverse. And this is the stub out, the coax coming off of that, whatever you want to call it. The coax coming off that where I normally hook up all my amplifiers and do the testing on them. Alright, that's all I need on that side of it. And this meter goes to that line section. So that this wire here, which is 3/16 coax, all these are hooked up 3/16 coax. I don't know if it's a video out there how to hook them up like that on that high dial ass little 90, but it saves room. But so that's amplifiers in line all the time. I try to do that so it don't create a mismatch in between another one. But then again, sometimes you have to add another amp. So you got, you know, you got to come out here and to your driver amp, and then out of your driver amp into, let's say, a 4-pill, and then out of a 4-pill into a 24-pill. And then that's where these other meters come in line to put in between those to do what I was just showing. I know it's hard to make sense of what we're doing, but once you get into this a little bit more and you start laying them out, you'll figure it out. That's the way I had to do it. I mean, you can be told how to do something, but till you actually do it, you can do it. But anyways, here's my output side here, and that goes through this line section here. It's a dual one. You can get duals, or so what I'm saying about dual, of course a dual line section won't come in this meter here because it's only got one hole for it. You can't put one in this, but you can put one remote from it. You can take this out of it and have the cord running out and running to where you can hook up a dual one. The dual one is here. But instead of having just one place to put an element, you got two. You got one here and one here. Let me see if I can get a better shot of that for the people that don't know. Can you see that? This is the dual line section. Here's the actually output of it, because the way I got it run. This is the one goes back to this here. It goes to the output of the amplifier. So this 50 watt slug here, 1000 watt slug here, I try to keep it at that because I just get used to it. I'm running on antenna. Most people run on dummy load. I run on antenna. I have a dummy load hooked up to it. So it comes out of this line section into a switch box. The switch box is just the same one as the other one I got over there for the radios. You can't see it for these. I clean my transformers with them. Try to keep them handy. But man, you can tell the humidity's up today. Wood's full, but it's there, and I can switch from it over. And one of them's dummy load, one of them's the antenna. But this meter here, so I can get all three of them in frame, and that's the reason I put them in here and put them where they're at. Because this is a reflect with that line section over there for the radios. This reflect between this amplifier and whatever's hooked up on the table. So it don't actually, it hits the amplifier before it hits the line section. But after the line section is this amplifier. But anyways, it's in between it. If whatever I hook up on the table, it's in between it. Alright, this is on the antenna on the outside of the house. This represents this 50 watt slug to here. This 1000 watt goes up to here. You understand? Follow along with me, I hope so. And the peak kit is only on this meter here. It's on this one with the peak kit. I turn the peak kit on and off there. I turn it 2 times or 5 times. I very rarely use that. I try to just, if I 5,000 watt slug, 2,500 watt slug, and sometimes double it. I don't do no big amps. Double it. And if it's real big of an amplifier, I ain't got so big of a power supply, so I can test some, but I already an RMS, so the 5,000 and times it into and do that. But I hope you understood something of how and why we run these meters the way we do. You see other people on their tables, and sometimes you can't actually tell. Only one I know of that you can really tell on this table would be BBI's videos, because he has these hooked up in line. You can physically see them connected together to each other without the line sections. The line sections actually left inside the meters, and he's got them hooked up, linked together with the male plug that you can put on these line sections. You can get them at Fat Boys. You just take these 4 screws out and stick this down in there and tighten it down, and so you have a male to hook to your amplifier or either your other meter, and he has his there for a reason, but and I have mine up here for a reason. You do you do what works for you. That's all I can tell you. And I just thought I would try to show somebody how that is. I ain't seen nobody with a video explaining that. Maybe I didn't go into a real good explanation of it. If you don't understand it and you actually want to get the meters and set your system up, and you want me to call me up and be patient with me, as I'm going to be patient with you, and I'll help walk you through it. That's all I can tell you. I'm here for your questions anytime you want to, but be decent and be, you know, because when you're doing this at something at your house, so let's do it on video, I can't see what you're doing. And I'm trying to figure out what you're doing by what you're telling me, and you got to be patient. I'll try to help you out if I can, but it's a reason behind what we do for this, to keep from hurting other pieces of equipment. There's a lot of people out there that don't even run watt meters, and I don't know how the hell they're doing it. I mean, I can't do it. I've always wanted to have a watt meter. Even when I got in this stuff, I don't know whether it's the being a man thing or what, but you want to see that meter move or something. I don't know what it is, but like watching a tack going down a drag strip. I don't know. Alright then, I'm going to try to end this video right here. If you don't understand something, I'll go back into it. Just leave questions, comments, and concerns of the thing, and in the comment section down there, and I'll try to go in there and answer best I can. And if I can't answer it, I'll try to show it to you. And if you don't understand it from there, give me a call up in decent hours. I don't sleep very well. Like I said, it's 9 o'clock now. And I actually went to bed yesterday about 9 a.m. and actually went to bed at 7 a.m. and woke back up at about 9:30, 10 o'clock a.m. I think. Yeah. So for the last 3 days I've had about maybe 8 hours of sleep between all 3 days. But I kind of figure when I get tired enough, I'll sleep more. My nerves ain't really bothering me now. Sometimes my nerves bother me, and you just sit and think of, your mind runs. You think about this stuff here. You think about how you want to do it, how you want to fix something. You know, did I get that video uploaded? Did I get this ordered for this person? Did I do this for that person? That, you know, and that's the reason I don't try not to keep but about 5 or 6 people to work for. I said at one time I was only going to do 3 at a time, but then again, you know, it's hard to do. Just I mean, I'm doing 3 at a time, but I got 3 or 4 on the weight too. So, and I'm lollygagging on some of them. The LD Mossbox I'm kind of lollygagging on, but I was waiting on the transformer fit for a while. They sent one out, and they said it got here, and I didn't even think about it. And I think Mojo got back a hold to me, which has been a long time ago, but he got back in touch with me, and I said, well, shit, I ain't got the transformer for that thing yet, the power supply. And I had to call him back, and he said, well, didn't you get it? No. And they went through a process, and I finally got another one, but it took a while. So I guess the other one got lost. I don't know. But unfamiliar territories, um, you try to think and make sure you don't fuck up, you know, because it don't take but a second to screw up. I can confidently build an amplifier and think I've done everything to it, even just a little 2-pill. And you can do the tracing out on it, and it could be a little glob of solder on the drop. I had one not long ago. It was a little piece of solder up underneath the transistor on the input side of it, and one of the transistors was dragging down from the other one, and I'm like, huh, what in the hell's wrong with it? Well, I done blowed it out. Everything looked clean, but it had one little piece of solder that was up underneath that, and it was just making contact with the ground, and it didn't hurt nothing, but I had to find it, or I just so happened to find it. I have had that problem and didn't know what it was, but keep notes. Alright, I done got to rambling. I'm going to try to go to bed. Y'all have a good day. Appreciate it. Later.